We just got back from seeing Madame Web.
I am literally shaking.
I wasn't prepared for our periods to sync with the girls.
But they did. I felt their energy, and I know that they felt my energy.
Consider the patriarchy dismantled.
Dismantled.
It was so refreshing seeing women in superhero roles.
It's never been done before.
They win the day by using their diversity.
It's never been done before. This movie is the true winner when it comes to pushing the message forward.
The message.
I did have one little nitpick. Madame Web was a cat girl. There is no such thing as any other pet than crusty white dogs. Move over, Wonder Woman. We have the best female-led superhero film ever made. Welcome to our review of... What the fuck's this movie called?
Now!
I didn't think it could get worse than the Marvels. But here we are. We have Madame Web.
Madame Web.
Madame Web. What a...
I want you to be nice until it's time to not be nice.
What an absolute pile of shit. You know, low-hanging fruit.
Yeah,
I feel
no.
bad.
It's worse than low-hanging fruit. Like, the fruit's just on the ground, and you're just stepping on it.
I've been having visions.
You're like expecting to go in thinking like, oh, there's gonna be all kinds of bullshit, like agenda stuff. It's just horribly made.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, normally when we criticize films, movies suck ass nowadays because usually they're just infused with agenda bullshit. This, yeah, we will get to that later, obviously, but
Right.
that wasn't the main issue. This was just
No.
a good old-fashioned, terrible fucking movie.
It was written horribly.
Yeah.
The dialogue was atrocious.
Oh.
And then on top of that, the actors weren't helping at all.
This was probably the worst script that I've heard in the longest time.
Yeah, from the team that brought you Morbius.
It's Morbin time.
They were given another shot
They
to
gave
do
them
this.
another shot.
Yeah.
What the fuck
I
is
don't-
wrong
I don't
with,
know.
with,
I don't
with
know.
Hollywood? It was basically like a spoof on exposition dialogue.
Yeah, it felt like a parody.
Yeah. It's like what you learn in film school. Yeah, don't do this.
Yeah, everything I learned in film school in regards to screenwriting was that you write your script and then you go back and you eliminate 50% of your dialogue.
Yeah,
as like an exercise.
As Sylvester Stallone always says, it's all about the rewrite.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Exactly. You go back and you're like, oh, my character doesn't need to say this because
Yeah.
we're seeing it.
Yeah.
Cross
Well,
it out.
When you write a script, your first draft is you just on the page.
Right, you put it all out there
Yeah,
and then
and
you
it
figure out how to
sucks.
go back and remove all of it
Yeah.
and streamline it and add subtext.
In typical modern Hollywood fashion, it's just like first try. The
Oh,
first try. Oh,
perfect.
that. Yeah, it's just
Perfect.
amazing right when it comes out. We're fighting for straight white males. I don't
This
do that.
movie, before we get into the plot, it felt like a cheap episode of like a WB show.
It did.
What I said earlier, I'd rather be watching the Marvels. I'm saying that from a filmmaking
Yeah,
standpoint.
just from
and,
like cinema.
right. And not that the Marvels is any example of great cinema.
Marvels
but,
looks like shit.
Right,
It's still more
but it
cinematic
still
than this movie.
is more cinematic than what we saw.
Yeah.
This just felt like an elongated pilot episode for a new CW show.
Well, I mean, if you look at the diversity hire director's resume, she's primarily a
TV director.
TV director.
Yeah.
You know?
You got
And there's
to
nothing
bet.
wrong with that.
Yeah.
There are a lot of really good
Sure.
television directors. In fact,
Yeah.
there are actually a lot of very good female television directors. Michelle McLaren, I think is her name. She directed a lot of Breaking Bad, a couple episodes of Game of Thrones. Solid. Like a lot of really good Breaking Bad episodes, like cinematic Breaking Bad episodes are hers. You know, so it's not like a knock on women or anything, but obviously this chick is not at that level as Michelle McLaren.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sorry, but you take a look at her picture and all that's missing is fucking purple hair. And you understand why she got the job.
Right.
Because nowadays it's like, oh, this movie's about a bunch of vaginas, so we have to have a vagina directing it. It's so fucking stupid and ass backwards.
Right.
They're so like allergic to money.
See, this is why I would love to see Catherine Bigelow take on a film like this.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And first in line.
Absolutely. And there's a reason why she doesn't do these movies.
Right.
Because they suck.
Yeah.
And she's a
she
very
would have
good-
read that script and be like, what the fuck is this? And just threw it in the fire.
Cast it into the fire!
Yeah.
Let's unpack the plot quickly. What
Yeah.
little plot there is, because the plot in this is barely there.
Well, hold on. Before we get into that, the trailer sells you on this almost being like a superhero origin story, and it shows you some clips of the girls in the costumes.
It sells you on it being an origin story of multiple characters.
That's what I'm
when
saying.
When ultimately it's the origin story of a singular character, and all the other ones who you think are going to get an origin story don't do anything the whole movie.
But this is the ultimate case of bait and switch, because you watch the trailer, it shows the girls in the costumes, but when you see the film, that's literally everything that you saw in the trailer of them in the suits, that's what's in the movie, and it's all premonition.
It's all like a dream he has in the beginning. All of them in the costume, that's it. So we start off 1973, we're in the Peruvian jungle. We get our 8-month pregnant woman searching for spiders, and she's got this dude with her who is, I guess, protecting her, who turns out to be the villain.
Mediterranean Josh
Groban. He's with her. She's searching for this spider that's supposed to give you special healing abilities, or like they don't really explain what it is.
You'll kind of pick up on this, that there's a lot of very vague rules
loose
in this
rules
movie.
in this movie. Yeah. So she finds this spider. And then the villain, Ezekiel Sims, he takes the spider, he kills everyone, kills her, and then he disappears. And then that's when she gives birth to our main character, Cassandra Webb. Then we jump forward to 2003. And you know it's 2003.
Because there's a blockbuster.
There's a blockbuster in the background. Never seen that before.
You got shitty Britney Spears songs playing. It's 2003. Hey.
Right. I had a flashback to, what was it, the first Captain Marvel? Where she crashes into a blockbuster.
Yeah, it's like that's Hollywood's idea of, this takes place in the late 90s, early 2000s, so a blockbuster.
Right, exactly. So now she's an EMT. She's partnered up with our boy Adam Scott, who plays Ben Parker.
Are we having fun yet?
They don't really explain how this all kind of kicks off. She has these run-ins with these teenage girls.
You live in my building.
You're the paramedic.
Yeah, you almost ran me over.
And then our villain now, he has these dreams, these premonitions. And in these dreams, that's the only time you get to see the girls in costume, they kill him. So the whole thing just becomes about him trying to find these girls so he can kill them first before they kill him.
Yeah, it's like some Terminator shit.
Right. It's like, well, why are they trying to kill you, first of all? I mean, I know he's a villain, but what would necessitate these spider women, girls, whatever they are, murdering him?
Yeah.
They don't explain any of that.
No, it goes nowhere.
It goes nowhere, and that's the plot. And it's so...
Well, I mean, and if you really break it down, he's the only character that has motivation in the whole story.
Yeah.
It's like he has a goal, and he's trying to prevent something.
It's a pure survival motivation. He's having this dream. He's like, I gotta kill these girls because in my dreams, they're the ones killing me. So you take away the beginning scene, you don't know how he got the spider that gave him his powers. He killed some people. If it just had started with him having these dreams and you don't know his past, it would almost look like he was defending himself.
Well, and that would have been kind of interesting too. And then as the story unfolded,
then you learn that he's actually deserved.
Yeah, that would be a way of making it more interesting.
It's called a reveal.
Yes, exactly.
Well,
it's called it's storytelling.
Competent storytelling, right?
That's just lazy writing.
They don't do any of that. He's like, well, I got these girls kill me in the future, so I got to find them now and kill them first. He hires this girl who basically taps into the NSA.
Okay, yeah. So it's the early 2000s. So they had to come up
just
with some
slightly post 9/11.
They had to come up with some bullshit as to okay, well, damn, we're gonna make this set in the early 2000s. So how are we gonna have them track them down? Because surveillance equipment isn't what it is.
Nobody has cell phones. Really.
Nobody has cell phones, so tracking is very limited. So it reminded me of at the end of The Dark Knight. When he he's like, you're finished, type in your name. So Lucius Fox does that, and then some workers come in and break down the gear, and then this guy comes in, takes the gear, and then gives it to some special needs person to handle the whole operation afterwards. That's what it is. And having this girl who's there for pure expositional dumps.
Yeah.
That's all the villain and her are just there to give you something as to
just tell you exactly what's happening. We must find these girls and kill them before they kill me, because in my dream they kill me, so we must kill them first. It's the most pathetically written dialogue, and the way this guy delivers it, we'll get to him. So she is tasked with tapping into all the camera feeds in the entire city. How does she use this surveillance technology to find these girls when we don't know what these girls even look like? Well, obviously, he just describes them to her from his dream, and she somehow creates perfect photorealistic images of them as adults with masks on.
Not only that, they're wearing fucking masks in his dream. Now, look, it's a comic book movie, and of course, like, you know, and I talked to you about this last night, but when Robin wears a mask in the comic books, that's not enough to like conceal his identity. You know he's Dick Grayson. It's the same person.
Right.
It's not enough. But in the comic book world, that's enough to conceal someone's identity. So when they're wearing these outfits, they're wearing these masks, we're not supposed to know who they are. We're not supposed to be able to break down their identity.
Right.
This guy does it based on visions in a dream on top of it.
He somehow describes them to her.
And she
creates these photorealistic
3D
pictures
renders
of
them,
then
basically.
She has the masks digitally remove, and then they de-age to teenagers, and then she uses those to run against every camera in the city and get hits, and then she like immediately finds them.
It was, again, vague.
Yeah.
Super fucking vague.
So
Purposely
now
vague.
he's on a mission to go kill them. You have our lead, who hasn't had any of these premonitions up to this point. And then she is out with Ben Parker. They get into an accident. She falls in the river, and she goes unconscious, whatever, and he saves her.
That triggers her abilities.
It triggers her, like, her clairvoyant abilities.
Yes.
And now she starts having, like, what seems like deja vu. And this persists now for an hour and a half. They didn't rush her coming into her power in terms of, like, being able to master it, like, too quick. She has these...
No, it was the opposite.
It was the opposite.
Yeah.
She starts having these premonitions, and she's like, wait, what? Deja vu? And then eventually she gets to a point where she's able to change something, and then the future changes. And then she like immediately is like, oh, I changed the future. Like, obviously, we know you changed the future. We just watched you do it. Like, it's just exposition, endless exposition.
Endless.
And it starts building to a point where it's like, okay, she's going to keep doing this now. She's going to get better and better and better and better at it. And I kind of liked that. It wasn't just like, oh, she immediately just gets good at it. But it ended up just taking so long that you realize, like, you're at the end of the movie and she's barely done anything.
Yeah, she still doesn't have a handle on
the
this thing.
The entire movie felt like the first act.
And detractors can say that that's just because this is the first movie in a planned series.
No.
Not a chance.
Even first movies have a 3-act structure. This literally was like 1 act.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yep.
That's part of the fun about going to see a superhero movie or a movie about a person who something happens to them and they've got to like adjust to their situation, their limitations, or whatever.
Right. Well, yeah,
you want to see them like learn how to use their powers, harness their powers.
Like the good telling of an origin story has to walk that fine line.
Yeah, and this does not have that. Like at the very, very end, I guess she kind of does stuff, but it's so stupid. And like we said, we've been saying through this whole review so far, everything is left purposely vague.
Yeah.
So sometimes she'll see 10 seconds into the future. Sometimes she'll see
like 5 minutes.
5 minutes into the
yeah.
future. And it's like, well, why is the time different? Like what?
Right. Is she just in her head for like a second? Or is she living through that moment? Because it seems like she's living through it. She's experiencing it.
Is she seeing like it's happening in a split second? She's seeing it, or
well, it's like kind of like a Final Destination thing, where like they have this long premonition, and all of a sudden it sucks back in, and it's like they're in the past now, and it's like, well, I guess
that's kind of what it was, like a bunch of.
It was basically Final Destination. Like there'll be hard pressed to explain the mechanics behind that, but whatever. It's just not consistent.
When you have a successful origin story, part of what makes it successful is because they lay out the rules properly.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying that you need to like handhold the audience. You can keep some things vague. You can keep some things kind of secret, and as it goes on, you learn more.
You reveal these things.
But this thing does not do that.
Right. Well, so this guy goes after the girls. She keeps intervening, and this guy's like, "How do they know I'm coming?" You know. So she's just wrangling these girls. These like, I don't even want to say they were annoying. They weren't really annoying. They were just there.
Yeah. They were fine.
They were whatever.
Yeah.
So she's just like babysitting these girls the whole movie, and she's trying to piece shit together, like, who is this guy chasing us? She makes the connection that he knew her mom or something like that. So she's like wanted now for kidnapping these girls, yet she manages to like grab her passport, hop on a plane, and fly to Peru to like chase a lead down in the middle of the jungle. She just happens to find exactly what she's looking for, the origin of where she was born.
She asked Ben Parker to like help her, and he just
He's
does.
like, I don't know what you're doing, but you know, I trust you, so I'll watch these girls that you say you didn't kidnap.
Yeah, now I'm sure that there's a way that you can narratively get to that same result, but the way they did it was just so sloppy.
He took no convincing.
No, none.
They skipped the part where she had to convince him, you know, the drama, and just went right to the resolution.
Yeah.
Of like, yeah, sure, I'll help you out. Just be careful as you're hopping on a plane, you wanted woman.
Yeah.
Flying to Peru. So that's where she goes down there and she learns, like, she was born there. She learns about the spider people. It's one of the silliest shit I've ever seen in a movie.
Worst VFX.
It's horrible. So she learns about what these spiders can do, how they bite you. They give some people certain powers, like Ezekiel gets the power to crawl on walls. He can poison people by touching them. She got the power of clairvoyance.
Yeah.
She comes back to New York. So then they end up in this like condemned fireworks factory for the big finale in one of the worst, like shittiest looking scenes.
Well, no. They set up the fireworks factory early
Yeah, they set it up
on.
in the beginning.
Yeah, and then like that's where the third act final showdown takes place. And then she lights up these flares and starts putting them in the crates where the fireworks are, and the fireworks start going off. Okay.
Well, that's gonna slow him down apparently.
But these fireworks, like fucking Roman candles, turned into RPGs and shit.
Yeah,
like
you'd think they were in an
busting
RPG factory.
They're literally busting through brick walls.
They're like shooting through the roof, exploding out of the building. It's like, what kind of fireworks are these?
I haven't got time for this Mickey Mouse bullshit!
That whole scene was ridiculous, and like the girls are utterly useless still up to this point. They never come into their powers.
No, they don't do anything.
No, and she finally somewhat harnesses her power, and she like has this out of body experience where she can like leave her body in multiple places, and like she helps the girls. They're like hanging on rafters and stuff, and she just floats over like, here, let me help you. And Ezekiel's like looking around like, the fuck you doing? And he just like kicks her right in the chest and knocks her out of it. She's like, you didn't see that coming. He just puts a foot in her chest.
And she's like,
And then she falls back, and then all she does to defeat him is just keep moving out of the way because she knows fireworks are coming because of her 5-second clairvoyance.
Yeah, that's...
And then he can't dodge them because he doesn't have clairvoyance.
That is the extent of her
Fighting
now
him.
knowing her power and using it.
Right.
It is so stupid.
And then he gets like crushed by part of the big Pepsi sign. She falls into the water, which somehow cripples her and makes her blind.
Yeah.
I guess a Roman candle like went off in her face or something. I don't know. Because they pull her out of the water and she's just like, her eyes are just like glazed over.
One of those sparkler things.
They put her up in her little tower with a window overlooking the city, wearing like the dumbest glasses I've ever seen.
And then it does like this weird transition into like the future, showing what she's going to become.
Yeah,
and she's got
this big visor
dumb
on.
visor.
And like they're showing her, she's got this dumb smirk on her face.
Like, I'm so badass.
Yeah, and like and the three girls are there with her. They're all there living with her. Because like she's like, oh, these are my girls now.
They were always my girls.
They were always my girl. And none of them have their powers.
Yeah.
So what the fuck? Like, where does that go?
You also got the sense that like the villain having that premonition of them killing him, like whatever their origin was intertwined with him. Because why are they bloodthirsty to kill him? Like that, he dies.
Yeah,
so
it
that
doesn't
goes
make
nowhere.
It doesn't make sense.
Honestly, this was so fucking sloppy. This was worse than a first draft.
Emma too.
Dakota Johnson is the lead in this, and she's okay.
Yeah, I mean, like you can maybe accuse her of kind of being a little monotone here.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
there,
yeah.
But she's
like,
not.
You could tell she's kind of just like, what character am I playing?
Yeah,
like,
they're
all right,
all kind
I'll
of
try
like
to
that.
give it my all. Right, like,
Yeah.
all of them are like this.
Yeah.
And then you get like the three girls, and obviously like the biggest of the three is Sydney Sweeney, right? They thought she was going to pull in some guys, but she is dressed like she's on her way to fuck her stepbrother in this movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's like they dress her
She's she's going to an anime expo.
She's going to an anime expo.
Which I hate.
She's going to meet up with her stepbro.
I did kind of appreciate that.
And
you know?
hey, listen, she looks great. I get what you're doing here, right? And then the other two are just like, they're all just whatever. They don't do anything. They just show up. They have their little quips.
It's not like any of these girls are particularly terrible at acting.
No,
Their characters were just...
They're just not given anything.
They were just... Yeah, they were just so bland.
Besides our 4 heroines, we have Mr. Adam Scott, who clearly, I guess, was in the market for a new car or something. He needed a paycheck.
Yeah.
He was just like, hey guys, like, heard you're handing out paychecks on this film. Maybe I could get one. I'll be in your movie and I'll class it up.
Which I oblige. I'm more than happy to for, $7.
And then, of course, you have Mediterranean Josh Groban.
The worst fucking actor.
Dude,
now
that was a combination of script and shitty actor.
It's hard. I don't want to like put all the blame on him because the script was so bad.
Yeah, but
he was awful.
Yeah.
How can they look at the dailies and be like, "This is good.
This is great.
This is all coming together."
Send this out. This is perfect.
Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Not even just him, but just making this movie in general.
Yeah.
And they thought that it was working.
Dude, there's so many
The fuck
scenes.
is wrong with these
There's
people?
so many scenes in this movie like that, like where she has that, I guess it's a dream, where she finally learns why her mother went to the rainforest in the beginning.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
that scene, I was like, I was laughing really hard watching that scene. And it's supposed to be this emotional scene.
In the theater were laughing.
Yeah,
when
what
we
few
were
people
watching
there
it.
were.
Yeah.
8 people.
Yeah. That was great.
On opening night. She learns that as a baby in utero, she was going to have some...
She was terminally ill.
She was terminally ill. Yeah. So the mother was like, no, I refuse to like believe in this diagnosis. I'm going to go find some experimental spider in the rainforest.
So the whole reason why she went to Peru in the first place was to save her daughter.
Right.
But growing up, she's always assumed that her mom was
selfish and
was just doing all this stuff because of her career.
Didn't care. Right, putting her career. And I made a note of that in the beginning, like, oh, of course she's putting her career over her stupid child, whatever.
Yeah.
But then they flipped on that, and I was like, all right, I'll let that go. But she interacts with her mother in that premonition, and once she realizes that what her mom did actually did save her life, she has this dumb line. She's like, "You did it!
Yeah.
You did it, Mom!
You did it!
And like, and the way she delivers
her whole
it,
demeanor is like, she's like a girl that's like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. That's
Yes!
so fun.
Yes!
That's how she
She says it like a fucking seal, like a valley girl. Just like, you did it! Like a fake California girl. No wonder, like, Dakota Johnson literally fired her agents after this movie. She
Yeah.
saw the trailer came out, and like a week later, like, she's back on the market.
Done.
Like, what the fuck did you guys sell me? And it's like, well, okay, you're a little culpable too. You were there. You did the movie. You read the script before you showed up on set, I presume.
If you didn't read the script, then that is on you.
Yeah. Let's rank it. Let's.
Okay, so I've got my rule where even if a movie's really bad, I don't really rate things underneath a 3 because when you go past a 3 or when you go below a 3, that is like amateur filmmaking. That's like when you get into like the Room territory. This crosses that threshold for me. So I'm going to give this movie a 2.5.
Damn, that's exactly what I was going to give it. 2.5. This was shit.
Absolutely amateur.
So other scale, agenda scale.
Yeah.
There were a couple things, but definitely not as much as I thought. I thought we were going into this like, here we go.
Wham and power.
Girl
Yeah.
power.
Yeah.
The Mary Sues left and right. That wasn't really in this movie.
No.
It wasn't really like,
be
oh,
fair.
girls get it done. Like, none of that shit was in this movie, to be fair.
The girls,
So,
the girls acted like teenage girls.
they did, and
know.
they were in peril most of the time.
Yeah.
Even when they tried to help, they pretty much failed for the
Yeah.
most part. So they didn't go that direction. So I was happy about that. So all the negative things you hear about this movie where it's just like, oh, it's just a female superhero. It's like, yeah, but they just made it suck for other reasons. It didn't suck because they were just trying to say like
Correct.
whatever their agenda was.
This
with
isn't
that.
a particularly woke movie.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's called Madam Web, and it's like a whammon superhero movie being made in 2024. So automatically you have the assumptions, the baggage that
Of
comes
course,
with that.
but it could have been way worse.
It could have been. It's pretty light on that front, you know.
Yeah. The rest of it is really just like little one-offs here and there.
There are some things still. The Mexican girl in the group, she talks about her dad and like how he's deported and all this stuff, and like the way she goes about it like, we're supposed to be sympathetic towards her, and it's like, well, you guys are fucking here illegally.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe he should have like been paying some fucking taxes.
Yeah, exactly. She starts telling the sob story, and like I feel like calling ICE right now and reporting her.
She thought they said illegal alien and signed up.
Fuck you, man.
The other girl, the black chick, she comes from a privileged background, and like her parents are rich, but the way she describes them are like, oh yeah, my dad's like off in China right now polluting the oceans with whatever business he does. And then they have a line where like, okay, well, give us his credit card and we'll spend some of that ocean polluting money or whatever. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
Just like these just little stupid things here and there. There's not that much of it, surprisingly. A couple things we probably didn't mention, but for me, I'm not going over a 2.
I'm just gonna give it a 2 as well.
Yeah.
Eye to eye on this one. It's got so many other problems.
Yeah, the agenda shit's the least of this movie's problems.
If they did have the agenda shit on top of it, our score would have been like at a 1
fucking
or 1.5.
1.5 and 4 rainbows or whatever, but
Yeah.
no.
So at least it had that going for it.
It had that, yeah. All right, well.
But at the same time, though, it honestly is. I've said this before in other reviews. It is just refreshing to see like a bad movie that's bad on its own merits and not because of like political reasons.
Yeah, not bad because of agenda shit.
Yeah.
It's just poorly made.
Yeah. Aside from seeing this piece of shit movie, we do have some good news.
Yeah.
As of recording this video, like right before we started rolling, we just crossed 5,000 subs.
Yes.
Which is
a big achievement for us.
Very, very big achievement.
Very excited about that.
And like, you know, of course, thank you guys so much for being with us, for watching our videos, liking our videos, sharing our videos. You know, some of you guys have been with us since the very beginning, and you know, it's really good seeing you guys in the comments, engaging, and just
we try to answer as many as we can.
Yeah, we don't get to all of them, but you know, it really is cool seeing you guys and just bullshitting with you guys. So thank you.
Here's to the next 5,000.
Next 5,000. It's all about the message. And this movie just did it in such a graceful and adequate way that
adequate.